Okay, so as the title of this video would tend to imply, this is my 3000 subscriber special. So I'd like to start by thanking everyone that's subscribed to my channel and has supported me. It's much appreciated, and it's nice to see that some people are enjoying these videos. So I was trying to decide what to do for this special, and luckily I had a delivery yesterday, and it's something I've been looking for a very long time. And in particular I wanted one of these that I could do a restoration series on, and these are becoming quite difficult to obtain, and this particular one was sent to me by one of my subscribers, so a lot of thanks to him for this. He sent me another piece of equipment that he wants me to repair for him, that I will do a separate series on, but that'll be quite a complex repair, so that will be an entire series on its own. I'll introduce that in a separate video. So what I decided to do in this video was just introduce this particular project, and anyone that's familiar with these can probably tell what this is already, and this is part of it. By the way, apologies for the lighting in here. I'm not in my usual place, so the lighting's not very good, but hopefully you can see what is going on. So this is part of the machine. It's obviously one of the feet, and I haven't really looked at this yet, at least I haven't looked inside it, and I'll get it unveiled and you can see what it actually is. And for those of you that don't recognise it, this is an ASR 33. It's a vintage teletype, mechanical teletype device. They were very popular at the time, and the reason I've been looking for one of these is one of the first computers that I ever used was a mainframe where the terminals used something similar to this. In fact, one of the terminals was one of this model. Spent a lot of time on that, had a lot of fun with it, and when the new terminals came in, we jumped onto those and tried to avoid this old one. As I say, I've been looking for one of these for a while now to do a restoration on, because they are extremely interesting. A lot were made at the time, but I think most ended up in a skip when they were superseded with newer equipment. So as I say, they're hard to get hold of. As you can see, this one needs quite a lot of attention. I haven't looked inside yet. I thought we'd do that together so we can see exactly what we're up against and what will be involved in this restoration. So I'd say apologies for the lighting in here, but we'll have a quick look under this cover. And you want me to see inside, but this is full of something, not quite sure what it is. A lot of chad in the bottom of this. It is missing a few parts. I'm missing the chad box, or the bit box as a lot of people refer to it, and a few other bits and pieces. The top paper guide is missing, but it does seem to be fairly intact, and the guy that sent it to me did send me some photographs before he shipped it over, and it does seem to be fairly intact inside. So what I'll do is I'll get the top cover off, we'll have a quick look inside, and then we'll have some idea as to what this restoration series will produce in terms of work that needs to be carried out on this machine. I suspect it will be fairly extensive. I want to do a proper restoration on this and get it fully functional, but we'll have a look inside and see what condition it's in. Okay, so that's the first view inside. It is clearly desperately in need of quite a lot of work. It's absolutely full of chads, and there's also a lot of metal shavings in here, so it looks like this may well have been used in a CNC machining facility, or at least it's been stored in one. As I say, I haven't tried powering this up. I won't be doing that for quite some time. I have tried manually turning the motor, and it does turn, but it's very tight, so I suspect we've got a lot of work to do on the mechanics. And there are various bits and pieces knocking about in here that I don't believe are actually part of the machine. And so obviously what I'll be doing to start with is giving this a very good clean, but I will do an entire series on this, I suspect. It might be quite a long series, but the idea is to get this fully functional. Luckily the case does seem to be in exceptionally good condition. It needs a really good clean and the plastic restoring, but it doesn't appear to be cracked or broken. There are no lumps missing out of it, which is quite unusual, so that's extremely good. Okay, I'll turn it round so we can see it from various angles and go from there. Incidentally, if you're not familiar with the principle of these machines, then they're fairly straightforward. We've got what amounts to a typewriter, electric typewriter, that effectively writes using an impact and ribbon system, very similar to a typewriter, onto paper, and at the same time it can transmit the data out of it's either a current loop or a voltage system. These did actually have an option in later machines for a modem, so they could be connected to a phone line. But also this particular model has the punch, so we can punch paper tape, and a paper tape reader, so you could use this as a fully fledged terminal. In fact, as I said, when I first started playing about with computers, one of the first machines that I used that was a proper computer system used one of these terminals, and there was no display as such. All the output was on paper, so if you wanted to write a program to play a game or something like that, then it was a very tedious task, because obviously all the output had to be printed out each time the program updated. But we could then save the program to punch tape and then come back and read the tape back into the system as and when we wanted to. So very interesting machine. As I say, I'll spin it round, we'll have a look around it, see just what condition it's in, and try and get some idea as to what we are up against. Okay, so we're looking into the left side of the machine. We've got the drive for the carriage, the print head, and we've got the paper tape punch assembly. Some parts of this actually seem to be seized up, so I'm not going to try and rotate this. And we've got the paper tape reader at the front. Keyboard assembly and the mechanics are obviously covered up by the keys themselves. This works in a very similar way to the teletype machine that I restored in a recent video series. Mechanics are very different, but the principle of operation is fairly similar. At the back here we have the mechanism for controlling the overall function of the machine. So it goes through various phases each time you press a key to enable the data to be processed, fed to the punch, and sent out of the machine if required. We can see we've got a lot of debris in the bottom. This is what I was talking about with regard to metal shavings, but I will be completely stripping this machine down and cleaning it all out before I attempt to run it. As I say, a lot of it does seem to be fairly seized up, although it does look like it's in remarkably good condition. It needs a lot of work, but all the major parts seem to be relatively undamaged. I've just got a feeling that they need a really good clean, lubrication, and possibly adjustment. Okay, I'll spin it around, we'll have a look at the back. Okay, so looking in the back, as you can see, a lot of the parts that normally go missing are actually present on this. All the case thumb screws are present. The motor, while it turns, I don't know what condition it's in with regard to whether it will run properly or not. Hopefully we don't need to rewind this. And then here we have the encoder. All the mechanics seem to be in reasonable condition. Some of these parts are seized on the shaft, so that will need very carefully taken out and cleaning. The electronics are on the right hand side of the machine, which is on our left as we look at it, so I'll spin the machine round and we'll have a quick look at that. Okay, so this is looking at the electronics. I say electronics, but there's not a great deal in here with regard to electronics. It's just a few simple control circuits, but There is enough electronics in here that it will need to be gone through and checked fairly carefully to make sure that this part of the system is working as it should, and then of course the mechanics can be handled as a separate part of the project. There are lots of sockets on the back, as you can see. There were numerous options for the way these could be configured, and I'll go through those various options as we go through the restoration project. So a lot of work to do on this. Step one, as I said, give it a really good clean, and then I will take all the major assemblies out and we can look at those in turn and restore each. And then when we start reassembling it, we'll hopefully get it adjusted and get it back up to a state where it will function. Okay, so that is the ASR 33. I'm very happy to have finally got hold of one of these. It needs a lot of work before I can use it, but it does seem to be mostly complete, and it should make a very interesting restoration series. So thanks to everyone that subscribed to my channel. I'm hoping the channel will continue to grow and be of interest to anyone interested in electronics. Comments welcome, and thanks again to all my subscribers.